Hey everyone, welcome to our studio today. So glad you joined us today and hope you're painting along with us. But if you're not, just hope you enjoy watching it. We're doing a totally different project than what we normally do. Normally we do fine art mainly, and sometimes we'll sneak something else in, but this is more like a sign project. And as I told you on last week, that the brushes I'm using is a lot different than the ones we use to do the fine art with. And we got a very special guest today, my cousin. Mickey, we're so glad to have you. And if you want to holler at us, just say anything you want to. Okay. We enjoy the company. Okay, I'm going to mix up a little bit more of that red. Now again, this is sign paint. This is not fine art paint. It works a little bit different, but you can do about the same with it. Back when we was in the sign business, when we had to paint pictures, hamburgers or hot dogs or whatever, we would mix the sign paint into it. One thing about sign paint as opposed to the fine art paint, sign paint will usually last a little longer outside in the weather or anywhere really. Uh-oh. Sometimes I'm cutting them a little close there. Trying not to do that. I'm doing it all freehand. Now I love doing this kind of work. Like I say, when I was talking to you last week, it's sort of repetitive because you got to do a lot of things twice, 3 times sometimes. But I don't mind there. And sometimes you have to double coat, and especially red. All right. We're getting it. Now I've already painted the little windows. They're dry. I done them mainly. The reason I done them beforehand is I wanted to be able to lay my hand down wherever I wanted to instead of using a maul stick. Although we can use a maul stick. Matter of fact, I'm going to dip that in my paint. This is a medium. This is a mixture of regular thinner and boiled linseed oil. Now, if you're using linseed oil, make sure you get boiled, because linseed oil will never dry. But boiled linseed oil will dry. Now sometimes when you go over a line, it's easier to just come back and pull it again with the color that you need to. Now I'm just trying to get around these little bolts. Okay, we about got that little window. Now we're going to do this one. And I was talking to you about the, I'm going to pull a little color out. Now I'm going to go to the next window and work on it. And I was talking to you about a maul stick. This is a maul stick. That's artists and sound painters use it to study your hand. In other words, I can lay this there and lay my hand, and then it's real steady. See, I can go around that real easy. Now sometimes it takes a little practice sometimes, but you can do it. Now I'm going to drop that back down there. I just wanted to show you how to use it a little bit. Now I'm going to pull this line freehand. I don't talk too much when I'm trying to pull something real tedious. Now I don't have much room here, so I'm going to try to get that by there and leave the black, which I did. Got another one here pretty close. Now I'm going to stop there because as you lay this brush down, the stroke gets wider. With the tip of it, I'll show you. I can go by there and not touch that black at all, you see. Now I'm pulling all of this freehand. If you need to hold a maul stick to do it, perfectly all right to do that. It helps a lot if you're not very nervous doing this. Now I just dropped a little more color there and a little the medium. There you go. I'm trying to see that line so as not to go over it. Okay, now we've got to go back and pull around each one of these. And I'll fill it in. as I go. All right. I really hope y'all enjoy these projects. I love doing different types of projects. And this is definitely a different type. That silver's drying already. I'm going to get a little more media there because my color's dragging a little bit again. Now there is another way to do this whole job. One way, you could paint the red solid, you know, make a tracing or a pounce pattern, and then draw your little diamonds in there, or your bolts, and paint them over the red. But we already had the whole ship already drawn and designed, and so we're just following through as best we can. I want to show you why I chose this little brush. Now, I want to show you this little brush. The reason I chose it, you see, it's angle brush. And you can really reach right down into a little point there with this brush and really get some fine detail. Not quite as much as you can with a liner brush. And I could have done all this. I could have outlined it with a liner brush. You could not fill in with a liner brush. That's one reason I chose this brush, because I can outline it and also fill in with it. All right, we got one little spot to go. One little spot. What do you say? We got it. All right, I'm going to rinse this brush out, and I'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm glad you're still with us. Okay, I'm going to stand up and do some work on it now, and from time to time I'll have to stand up and sit down and do it. Anyhow, we need to do the red on these panels here, so I picked another brush, and I may have told you to start with that I years ago was in the sign business. This brush is probably like 50 years old, but I knew how to take care of them. It's still just the same as good as it was new. I looked this brush up online, And I believe the cheapest you can get this brush now is about $40. So can you imagine what a sign painter has to go through now? Anyhow, I'm going to dip it into a little of this thinner. Now, what I probably will need to do in sign paint, I'm usually trying to work my brush in. If you notice what I'm doing here. Now, if we have time, I want to show you. I don't know that we have time this session or not, but I want to show you something about sign painting too. I may show you how to lay them out, how to letter them, how to shadow them, what brushes to use. Anyhow, you work it into the brush real good, and then you're usually ready to go. Okay, let's see if we are. Now I'm going to pull this freehand. And you can see I went over halfway with that brush full. Normally a brush will not let you go that far. I'm going to get me a little more color out here. Now the reason I've got boiled linseed oil in the thinner, it makes the paint flow better. In other words, it's not quite as tacky. You can pull with it better. Okay, that's a bad spot there that we'll have to get. And now here's another one. But I'm going to lay that little brush down. Now as I come down to the bottom, I turn the brush. And what that does, that gives me a little angle right there, like a 45-degree angle. So then all I got to do is lay that brush down flat right in the tip of that and pull it. And that's a bad spot. One reason I stopped right there. We'll come back and get it later. Almost got through there, didn't I? Now I've got a bad spot right there. I may have to get a little more color out here. Normally I can just check the tip of the brush. Like that. And get that. I got the same problem right here. I got most of it. Anyhow, as you can see, I got a little spot right here if I can get it. Pretty good. Okay. Beautiful. Now I'm trying to mix that real good. Now, I've got one up here. And the way that light's hitting it, I can't see it. This is be easy because I can go right off the top with it. I'm trying to hold it up so I can see my line. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, that'll be easy. I'll just pull it off the top. Let's see if we can get this little area. All right. That's the easy one, isn't it? I'm going to pull it all the way off the top. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, let's get a little more color here. Now, you could take that big brush and pull this with one stroke across there, but I chose to do it in 2 strokes to make it a little easier on me. Same way with this one. Now this one actually is cut out in different spots here that don't always line up with what we're trying to do. So I'm going to try to do it right along here and leave that other area. Sort of like that. Wow. Got it. You know, I can't believe what these brushes cost nowadays. Probably when I bought this brush, it probably wasn't $5. It probably was more like $2 or $3. But as you can see, it's just as good as it was the day I bought it. And thanks to an old sign painter friend of mine that told me how to take care of my brushes. Missed the spot, didn't I? I think I got it. This will probably dry pretty good overnight, hopefully. Now we're going to paint the whole body of the ship and the water. I'm going to clean this brush out, and I think I got all of that. I'm going to clean that out a little bit. And if you give me just a minute, I think we're about ready to close it out, aren't we, Jim? How many minutes we got left? Jim always keeps up with me, and I appreciate that so much. Now, as I told you earlier, I've got a lot of different brushes, as you can see here, and this is just part of them. Most all of these brushes are used for fine art or oil paintings. Now, I'm going to use a little bit of those brushes on this, and I'll show you why a little bit later. But this is all sign work here, sign painting. This is the same thing that you would do if you're lettering the side of the truck or painting somebody's name on it, you know. And like I say, there's a lot of repetition here. All of this, people get bored doing that. I never get bored doing it because that's my life. I'm an artist first of all, and I just enjoy every aspect of it. And the sign painting business was something that I got into because I could make more money doing that than I could actually painting portraits. And as I may have told you early on, the first job I got was at L.M. Berry telephone directory because I could draw. But at night, I was doing portraits. I was doing pastel portraits. I made more doing portraits than I did working. Matter of fact, one portrait usually paid me more than I made a week at L.M. Berry. But I thought if I could ever get to $80 a week, I'd be rich. Now my grandson makes $32 an hour. And wow, I can't believe it. I don't know if I'll ever go back into the sign business, but anyhow, I hope you come back next week and we'll try to do a little more work on our picture. Goodbye and God bless.